Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I had a thought today, and it's a little bit late in the day for me to make a video, so I might be a little disorganized, so excuse me. But I thought this was something important to talk about, and this is something that I learned in nursing and through personal experience, so I thought, why not? And I found this interesting, I find this fascinating actually, my observations of people and of myself really, how our emotional reactions impair our ability to critically think. So this is why I talk so much on my channel about being self-aware, being aware of your own emotions, taking care of yourself, because then really you'll be able to objectively observe information instead of being so emotionally controlled by information in the media and information in the news. Because really, propaganda, by definition, actually I don't know the exact definition, but propaganda generally is information of a biased nature, and it has an emotionally charged information to sway you, right? So we have an emotional reaction to propaganda, and then we run to the hills with that information because we're afraid. So, and I've mentioned this too. I made this statement, but I didn't say it on YouTube, that the reason why artificial intelligence is dangerous, or why we need to be cautious with it, is because it's a computer that objectively analyzes data and can therefore critically think better than humans can, because our critical thinking is impaired by our own emotions. So we're not the best all the time at regulating our emotions, and therefore it impairs our critical thinking. And so can we objectively analyze data? Information is external to you. It actually has really nothing to do with you. You are a soul, you are a spirit. Words on a screen are really, on a very high level, just irrelevant. But I learned this in nursing, right? So I worked, for those of you who have been following me for a while, I've mentioned before that I worked in the intensive care unit. I worked critical care. Before I did that, I worked ICU step down. So it was still a very high acuity level of patients. And when you walk into work every day, when you clock in, you're responsible for other people's lives. And it would do no good. And there's so many sad stories that you hear of people, right? So many sad stories. People donating organs, people on life support. And it wouldn't do me any good, or the patient any good, if I walked into work every day and just had a complete emotional breakdown over what was happening, right? So I learned to separate my emotions from doing my job or working, really. And what you're doing as a nurse, and a lot of people don't know, but what you're doing, especially if you work in a high acuity level area with patients, is you're objectively analyzing data all day long. So when a patient was in the hospital bed and they were my patient, everything that happened, every tube, every drug, every medication, was my responsibility. It happened under my nursing license. So I always researched everything back to front in the chart. And those of you who maybe work ER probably can't relate, but I was critical care, and if you know, you know, right? So that was me. That was my personality as a nurse. And you learn with working with people, you're trusting your team to an extent, but you're really just, I would prefer to call it working together. So you're not necessarily, when you work with the healthcare provider or a PA or the attending physician, you are trusting them, but you're not, I like to call it working with them, because you're not hanging off of every word that they say, right? Because you're still responsible as a nurse for that patient, and also you have a heart, right? Like, you want to do right by them. So I still objectively took what they had to say and still formed my own opinion about what was going on with my own patient. And I know in the comments, many, 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 many nurses will tell you that they saved a patient's life by not necessarily trusting the doctor, but by doing their own research and formulating theories or hypotheses of different outcomes or what could really be going on with their patient. Because doctors don't know everything just because they have an MD or whatever, a couple letters after their name. Same thing with other nurses, right? I never took what they had to say verbatim, as truth. I would get report on a patient, and then I heard what they had to say, and then I would go back in the medical chart and literally look through every single note, every single lab value, and decide my own opinion, what I thought, and what I was going to ask for orders and stuff like that. So it was objective. And I'll use this as an example too. And this might be more for nurses, but did you ever get, in your opinion, a crappy report or a report where there wasn't a whole lot of information? Which is okay, because if you work ICU, people don't give reports, like detailed reports like that. So a report from the ER would be like, the patient came in unresponsive, was down for 20 minutes, we resuscitated them, they gave epi once, they have a 20 gauge in their left forearm, and they're coming up to you. Would, some ICU nurses that I worked with would be like, the ER doesn't know anything, blah, 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 and they're just sending this patient up there. I didn't care. I did not care, because they're the ED, they're the ER, that's just their job, is to stabilize them and send them up. I was still going to do my own research, so it didn't matter what anyone did around me, really. There's no point in having an emotional reaction. So that's my kind of spiel, is can we just objectively observe information and say, yep, that's great, and keep it moving, and not allow it to affect your life to the point where it ruins your day, or you're attacking people online, or it becomes really that big of a deal. Because, it's not. It's all good. Everything's okay. So yeah, that's kind of what I think, and lots of love to you guys. I'll be back with more videos.